Yeah, you're right.
Sponsor my day, cool. So, start. Let's make sure we have a stream. Don't have video. All right, we're good.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for Community and Economic Development Committee, August 13th, 2024. We've got Lori, Jay, and myself present, so there is a quorum, so we will go ahead and move on to public comments. Have anybody here, so we'll move on to the adjudication hearing status update and open the floor for presentation.
Number 3, adjudication hearing status update. Ann and I went out to Woodstock last week to look at their adjudication hearing. I helped create that program, but Ann hadn't witnessed one yet, so we sat through several cases. One case in particular was a constant offender when I was in Woodstock, so that was great to see her back there. There was like $2,100 in fines levied. So my next step is to go through the proposed ordinance that TJ had drafted and get some numbers from the police chief and deputy chief on the violations that they would issue tickets for adjudication, just to get an idea on how many cases they might see, whether it's a month or we do it every other month, what have you, but that'll help us determine that, and then help us somewhat figure out what type of fees may be assessed each month. And that's that. So
We'll look forward to hearing your next updated report. Sounds promising, though.
So did you like revisit the Talking Head song, same as it ever was when you saw that person walk? You're like going.
same as it ever was for that, and the adjudication hearing officer who gives the same spiel each time. It's like, man, same as it ever was.
Nothing has changed.
The irony of Woodstock, Groundhog Day, the whole.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions or anything else on that topic? Okay, then we'll move on to the disposition of 307 Grant Street.
Kudos to Ann, who was able to get another house with TJ's help and be able to put it back in good use. Ann, if you want to give an update on that.
Ann, pull the mic down.
We went and saw the inside of it, and it's not in terrible condition. I mean, it's not move-in ready, but it's certainly not a tear down or, I think it can totally be rehabbed and become a nice house again. So, if any of you want to go see it, we got the keys, so we can go see
How many
it.
bedrooms?
2
2 basement or no?
crawl space,
Crawl space.
attached garage, big yard.
The worst case on this property is just that, the big yard. I mean, if someone wanted to purchase the land for a tear down, you've got a nice piece of property there to build on. The angle of the house, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, was actually built to be facing north. But that's also because there was a street that eventually was vacated. So it actually looks into the next house.
Yeah, it's kind of,
Kinda
I think if
awkward.
somebody put an addition on it and made it face the front of, Grant, it could be a pretty cool house.
307?
But it's not too terrible.
So the next steps from the city side will be to put it up for auction. And
It's at University where it dead ends.
So this committee will have to declare it surplus in order for us to proceed.
The other way.
How long has it been vacant?
Since 2018.
That's
Okay, so not that long,
the
actually.
one
Yeah.
right there. The street was abandoned, huh? one
Yeah,
point.
there was no street actually ever put in.
Ah, I see. Yeah, it was supposed to be
Yeah.
a through street and it never.
Yeah, so
okay.
university jogs around here.
Okay, so it's really just kind of facing sideways as opposed
Yeah.
to.
And their driveway
Originally,
comes,
it was originally supposed to face Grant, or, university, I guess.
Do we know why university just never got built in that section?
I don't know. What's interesting is it's very close to the, property line.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we can't do anything about the street now because the property that's to the northeast of that is too far over. But still, I mean, it's interesting. Okay.
So when we do put it up for auction, we'll have some contingencies in there that they have to have it brought back into compliance within so many months, so it doesn't sit there in this condition for years.
That's something new that we haven't done in the past, and again, so that people don't just purchase it and sit on it
Yeah.
as an investment.
Well, I know.
so it would be known to them at the time of purchase, right? So you need us to make a motion to declare this surplus? So I make that motion?
I'll go ahead and second it. I know in the past we've done those blind bids on stuff to, I mean, just, I guess depending on, once we do it as surplus, we're good. Would you guys then make the recommendation as to the type of auction that we do? Okay. So we don't have to decide that now.
Yeah,
All right.
all you do is declare it surplus and we run the ball from there.
Cool. Because I mean, in my thought process, I would think that this might, if this property's in that good a shape, it might even be worth an appraisal and going the full route instead of potentially just a blind bid where you might get $500 for it.
But keep in mind though, we're putting on that caveat that they have to make it compliant.
Yeah,
so-
I just,
And are we able just to sell a home outright with a realtor? I think we have to go through a process.
We have to go through a process.
yeah, to
auction
do
it off.
that, yeah, I mean, I know we've done the blind auctions in the past so that we just get rid of it because there's a lot less red tape involved, but I guess it would just be dependent on.
But I guess what I mean
work.
by we'll take the ball and run with it, we'll start the whole process that it needs to go. Once it goes to council and council's
Okay.
approve the recommendation.
Any questions on this before we vote?
So we just basically gained ownership of this property,
Yep.
and so we're just saying that we're gonna auction it off like we auction off everything else that's, okay.
No different than an old, but I mean, on paper, it'll be no different than an old printer or pickup truck.
And the funds in this case, because it's acquired through community development, will go back into either a community development or economic development fund.
I'm thinking, my first thought would be to go into the business.
Like the
business-
revolving loan fund.
The revolving loan fund
That
would
could
be
be it.
where I think that would be a great place to start. I mean, that would be the first place to get the money moving. Do we want to put that caveat on it now, or do you want to talk about it later?
My suggestion would be talk about it after we've sold it off. So then
Okay,
you can
but
designate the fund.
something to think about in
Yeah.
case I'm not here. You are, I know we've talked about that, and Jay and I both think that we
We'll
want to
bring
fund
it
that,
up.
so. Cool. Yeah, then if there's no other comments or questions, then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous decision approved. All right, and then the number 5 was to set the committee meeting monthly time frame.
Correct.
Um,
So just to give everyone a heads up, the infrastructure committee has already claimed the second Monday of the month, and Parks has always had the third Monday of the month. So doesn't give you a whole lot of room.
Second Tuesday of the month, then.
yeah, I would say let's just do the second Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Are you okay with that, Lori?
We'll do second Tuesday.
And that doesn't mean we have to have a meeting.
No, yeah, we don't have to have a meeting, and we can always reschedule it if we have to, but that'll be our standing. Because my thought is if we know that nothing, budgetary wise is gonna have to go to administrative from our agenda, then we should be able to move it if necessary, but now we've got a standing point if we have to. And obviously we try to move it as few times as possible to accommodate staff. We don't have to motion or anything for that, right? Just directive? Okay, cool.
It's
Strategic,
technically the chairman's call, just so you know.
well, then I'll make that call
Okay.
with Jay's approval. All right. All right, then the last point of regular stuff is a strategic vision.
So in your packet is a breakdown of the tactics and steps to accomplish those tactics that were in the strategic plan. So I just wanted to get any ideas from this committee, if you want to see something first, something for us as staff to tackle first. If you don't have an opinion, then I'll just work on it with Lou and the mayor if he wants to have a say in it, but this will just help guide us as staff to what we should be working on first.
So the first one, the send to all businesses for the review, revise, and adopt economic development plan, is that all businesses within the town that we're looking to do? So are we looking to basically push that, the fund, the revolving fund that we have, that type of thing? Yeah. I mean, I think that should be, to me, a fairly big priority, something I would like to get done in the next year.
How are we coming with the business registration database that we were working on? Because that's going to obviously be dependent on that, to how
Yeah,
successful that's going to be.
We've got the spreadsheets that we have to fill out for the software company. So Ann's got one for the code enforcement side. I've got one for the business side and contractors licensing that we're working on. We'd like for that to go live in October.
Okay.
And we've got businesses won't have to pay if you guys decide they have to pay if they don't register within so many days or months. But we just worked through, with Deb's help, the invoice cloud so we can process payments online now. So they had to do some back-end work between Community Core, the software provider, and Invoice Cloud, who we use to process those payments. That's all been settled. So now we just need to work with Community Core to get the details that they need.
In my opinion on the, I guess, charging for it, I would probably defer that out. In my opinion, I would say it'd be wiser to defer that out for a little while, just because we want to encourage more businesses to get involved, so it wouldn't necessarily be something I would say would be a good idea to do right away.
As far as, we talked about not charging businesses, but only if they didn't register by a certain date. Is that what you're referring to, or just
Yeah, we were
overall?
talking about that, like whatever that date is. I mean, I would say, Jay's a business owner, and we obviously want to encourage more, especially the smaller businesses, not the larger businesses, but the little, ones that have, 5 employees or less, things like that.
Is there?
I guess I'm saying, like, how much time do we want to give that? Because the first thing that comes to mind is a year. Wait the first year, we don't charge anything for the first year, and if they don't sign up by then, because a few months maybe not enough for the word of mouth to travel, especially in the Latino community. A lot of that's going to be through word of mouth and through, friends and family that communicate between the businesses. It might encourage more to get onto that registry.
What I've seen so far is typically 90 days, but if you want to do 6 months or a year, it's whatever you guys feel.
It's like, I guess, how successful have we been so far? I know we've got, like, when you guys
Well, I
said
don't think we've really started yet because we haven't set up the
No,
database.
The
Oh,
only
okay.
the only list we have is from the mayor's listening tour, where people put down their name and email, and
Okay.
So since this is something new, and Donovan, you can correct me on this, are we going calendar year or fiscal year for the registration?
our fiscal year.
Fiscal year. So what you could do is set it up for April 30th as free, and then beginning May 1st, whatever charges at that point.
Okay.
And that gives us 4, 5, 6, almost 7 months. If you include right now, it's 7.5 months.
Okay. I mean, I would say, I like that, as long as it's not 100% binding, because I want to see how
Just as a
successful
guideline,
we
so
are.
we can at least start doing
Yeah.
what we have to do to get the information out there.
Yeah, because I want to see how successful we are with it in the first couple of months, because if we need to obviously have events and things like that to drive that program.
No, I would, once we're live, are we live yet? Able to, no, I'd say once we're live, then 7 months or 6 months. But don't set a date till we're live and send out some type of communication via social media saying, hey, we're doing this, and, I don't know how else we want to communicate.
Well, multiple ways for sure. So
Yeah.
social media, we can run a rough list with addresses just through a Google search and send a letter, first class mail. And then once, after 90 days, if, you might have a handful that still aren't out there, it'd be nice to visit them in person and describe it to them, explain it to them, help them sign up if they need help. So multiple ways to get it out, get the information out to them.
You can also put in there, who else do you think we should reach out to?
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably, for me, I'd say that's probably one of the highest priorities on this list, so that we can get that information out there as quickly as possible. The sooner we start communicating, and that'll build on itself.
Do you think September 1st to start going live?
I was thinking October.
October?
I'll
Okay.
talk to the software company, but. So the tactic for that item is review, revise, and adopt an economic development plan. We've got a pretty decent plan from the Harvard Economic Development Corporation that used to exist. And so I think by the next meeting, I could have a new draft of that updated plan for us to go over. But right now, it sounds like marketing what we do have in store to our local businesses is most important.
Yep.
That's good for the first 5 years, and then we'll save the rest for the next 5.
I mean, I want to start tackling the develop a downtown master
I was going to say
plan.
that next, too.
I would say I want to start, that's probably going to take I would say quite a while, but that's going to be a longer term thing.
Probably at least a year
Yeah, so I would say at least,
with a consultant.
yeah, at least start, I would say let's get the ball rolling on that, because if there's going to be consulting involved, we can get ahead of that and work that into the budget workshop this year, so that we can plan on getting something going. I mean, even if it's just preliminary.
We can draft an RFP, and on that, at least get that ready.
Yeah, because that'll give us, 5-6 months?
At least 3, and then you have the holidays.
Yeah, so I
point,
mean,
you
enough
have
time.
4.
Yeah, enough time we can get it through city council and get the RFQ out and start getting some numbers together.
Yeah, and going through the budget process with Deb once, she's going to want that information sooner rather than
You got it.
later. So-
Yeah, I mean, I know we're gonna try to get the department, I know the goal is to try to get the department budget plans in earlier than we have been, so we can get that, but, if we come back and it's gonna be crazy expensive, then, we know what we're in for at least. Because if we miss that window, it's another year, so. That would be number 2, and then I would say, I kind of also want to tackle the development of the clear policies and practices for the supporting cultural events, because we're coming to the end of the season where we would be doing a lot of cultural events, and that way we can start getting a plan together for next spring, so that way if they want to start doing stuff, we've got everything in place that we can start registering and getting that stuff out ahead. Because I mean, look at the soccer tournament. I mean, that's how long out we got to get ahead of that, and strike while the iron's hot, I guess, is my thought.
Yeah, that's something I can work with Stacy on. I know she's been working on quite a few ideas and events, so.
Yeah, because the problem is, I mean, it's like if we don't, as a city, I mean, Mike can say this too. I mean, if we go too long without events, people just kind of lose interest, and getting anything going after that is even harder. But if they've got a consistent stuff going on, it's easier to bring something new in.
Yeah, that'd be good for us to explore under steps to accomplish what other community standards are. I don't know if we have current practices.
I'm sorry, where are you at?
Review current practices for supporting cultural events. I don't know if
We don't.
So.
No,
It's good start.
that's been on the strategic vision 2 times now.
Yeah.
So we don't have anything.
I mean, I
that
can't
I'm aware
imagine I want to jinx myself. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be overly super complex. It's just kind of mimicking what other communities already do so that there's, legal
If it's
paperwork.
overly complex, we're gonna blame you now.
Sure, that's fine.
But it's good to have because, well, like I call them the soccer boys. The soccer boys, they've been wanting to help the city put on some cultural events. So it'd be great if we had that policy in place. All right, if you want to do an event as a private party, here's the infrastructure that we provide, here's what we expect, and a permit process or what have you, so.
Well, if we can get that up on the website, and then, depending on how things go with the master plan with the parks, I mean, it's something we can advertise, because then other outside groups, because like, for example, in the springtime around Chicagoland area, they have holy fests or holy events, and we bring the kids out there, every summer or every spring, and they throw the colored flower, and it's kind of fun, and it's an ethnic event. It's put on by the the Hindu temples in the area, but it's family, harmless, great fun in the springtime. But they need wide space areas that can accommodate either a stage or something like that. So we've thought for years like that would be a great, event to try to bring in, so we can try to kind of net in wider audiences into the area and use that. So, but if we don't have a plan online and easy information, it's kind of like permitting for anything else. If it's not easily there, they look us over,
I would advocate for some priority for item number 3.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that's probably like 2, 3. Because we've seen a lot of interest in home development, so another strike while the iron's hot kind of situation. I agree.
So you want to encourage that.
Especially since we've got so many lots that are that are almost, break ground ready. That saves a lot of time and trouble for a lot of builders.
And money.
Yeah. And then I would say probably like the business retention plan, I would say probably I would follow that with the marketing plan, because it would make more sense to work on that when we've got a bit of a database going, because we know what businesses we've got in town we want to reach out to, and work on a retention with that. At least that's what I'm thinking based on the time frame. And the TIF, like, I know this is an example, but I know that's been the word TIF doesn't necessarily fly too far right now. So,
Yeah, I feel like items 1 and 2 are very closely related. Items 4 and 5 are very closely related. Item 3 and 6 are kind of on their own.
yeah, I would say like probably once we have a downtown master plan, I think that would make a lot more sense for if we're going to look at incentives, because once we know what the plan is, what we want to see down there, then we can be very strategic on if we are going to do a TIF or something like that. We can almost pinpoint exactly where we want to do it and when, because we'll have we'll already know what we want it to look like on the back end.
Makes sense.
Be easier to sell a TIF when you already know what you're going to do with it down the road, instead of like, well, we could do this and could do that, Any thoughts, Jay?
No,
There's a IML training.
I agree.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Just want to make sure you get a chance to speak if you got something.
No, I'm pretty much generally in agreement with you, because we have to know what we're going to be doing down there. And then we also need to know a list of all the different businesses that are going to be coming into here, so that way we know how we can help them also. Sorry.
No, you have the floor.
This is our time. That's why I want to make sure I don't want to dominate and just run it by myself. I want everybody to be included.
you're fine.
What I was going to say is there's an IML conference coming up that Deb and I are going to day 1 of it. That's focuses solely on TIFs. In the writing material here, there's a mention of a micro TIF. That's something that was noted down in Nebraska, and I plan on using some of that time during training to corner the experts there and verify about micro tiffs here. So I'll be able to hopefully report back in October.
Because I think, and not to get off topic, because we're still, I guess we can keep that in topic since it says the word TIF in there. I do see the benefit and the value in using them, especially when we've got property that is basically just going to sit vacant forever because no one's ever going to dump the money into fixing it up. But I definitely see that it's not an easy thing to get over because of the way it works. And it's, giving up a little money up front for more money in the back end. So it's kind of, I would rather see bird in the hand versus bird in the bush kind of thing. But I think if we can find a better way to strategically plan for them, I think it would be an easier sell. Because I definitely do see a need for TIF type programs in the downtown area and in some of our more dilapidated areas and areas where there's property that are just a waste of space. But I think a good way to sell that and a good way to have a game plan for it would go a long way. Cool. Any other suggestions on the strategic vision? Mike, did you have any other input? I know.
Nope.
Okay, cool. Because you go to all the meetings, so I just want to make sure that if you saw something that we can tack on there. All right, then if there's nothing further on that, then we'll move into new business.
So, John, this has been talked around about a bit in the budget. We also set money aside for this. It's the John Schallert is coming September 16th. He will be at the Star Line. This will be from 8 until, I believe, 4. Lunch, what we're asking for is businesses within the corporate limits. We're just charging them $25. That covers the cost of lunch. And any businesses outside of the corporate limits, we're charging $75, and that includes the lunch.
Who was this again?
This is John Schallert.
Okay. What does he do?
He's kind of a marketing guru and entrepreneurial mastermind, if you want to call it that. He kind of helps you figure out how best to market your business, what makes you unique versus everybody else, and then shows you different ways to try to market that, amongst other things. And so he'll start out with a presentation in the morning, and then in the afternoon he'll kind of sit down with groups and talk to them, and then there's more of a Q&A at the end, I believe.
Teaches you how to make your business a destination.
That's it. Thank you.
Business development workshop.
We all went to his workshop several months ago in Crystal Lake and just blown away by his expertise and what he was able to do in that short amount of time with small businesses that were there, things that they just didn't think of. Business owners get into business because they like doing something and hope that the people will come, and they do sometimes, and sometimes they don't, and he's able to help these business owners tap into, I think, why they got into business in the first place and expand on that and get the cash registers ringing.
Sounds promising.
Where are we at with the flyer for that?
That'll be done this week. We just, Administrator Leone and I chatted with his assistant today for a little bit to figure out the final details, and so that'll go out this week.
That's going to be a resounding success.
The only other thing under new business is right now the chamber is in search of a new executive director. In the meantime, I'd like to offer with this committee's blessing that we're willing as far as city to help out a fellow organization if they need any assistance.
I have no problem with that.
That's fine.
I would say just, for me at least, that's just a standing yes. I mean, if there's other
In the
organizations.
past, we've had a bit of a strained relationship, and it's gotten a lot better in the last couple of years, and I'd like to try to use this opportunity to strengthen it even further.
And anytime we can, my opinion is that anytime we can help out another organization and put our names out there, I mean, I don't want to say that it's, free advertising, but it kind of is. It strengthens those relationships, but also gets your name, our city's name, and our organization out there, and makes them know that we're here. We're not just out by Minnesota somewhere.
Well, I think it's important from the city's perspective to be a strong partner with the chamber. The chamber is an integral part of our business community, and it just makes sense for the city to be a participant. As such, I sit on the chamber's board as an ex officio as the mayor and attend their monthly meetings and try to participate in as many of their activities as I can. Sometimes there are conflicts, but generally speaking, I do try to participate where I can. And always want to encourage businesses to join the chamber, although there is no, requirement from the city. So like our licensing proposal for licensing businesses, there's no requirement from the city's perspective that they have to join the chamber, but I think you have a healthy chamber within your community that shows a healthy business community. And so that's why I always try to encourage businesses to join, as the chamber is kind of essentially almost under a reorganization at the moment because they're looking for a new executive director. And I think, depending upon who they get, that, city staffing should be well kind of coordinated with them to coordinate what we do and what they do to make sure that we're congruent and are both helpful for our business community and business owners.
I'm glad that we're stepping up to do that.
Outside of that, like we said earlier, Dunkin' Donuts will be completed in 3 weeks-ish.
They say.
That's what they say.
Okay.
Well, they're getting close. Starbucks, they're still on their second. We're waiting on revised engineering plans from them. See the DeLong Car Wash, they broke ground. They've got a site work only permit at this point. We're still working through engineering with them before they can be cut totally free. Ann and I did a couple final inspections on some duplexes today. He's got 3 other ones, 5 under construction currently, I believe. So Foxtail Properties, they just dug a hole for a new home. I think they got a permit for another one, is that correct?
Yeah.
Did a final inspection also in Oak Grove Crossing today for Shadow Creek. Didn't he just apply for more permits?
He's gonna be pulling more permits too.
So we're projecting still 40 to 50 homes this year.
Wow.
So it's been busy for both of
Spectacular.
us. We've been swamped.
And how many of those are rentals versus sell to own?
Only the duplexes are rentals.
So how many? I've lost track. I know it was probably about 20 something.
He was doing 21 total for 42 units.
So we're saying a little.
Roughly half.
So
I would say-
about half are going to be
Say half.
about half are actually sold out. I mean, that's good. I just hoping to see a mixture of homeowners and renters versus just everything going straight to rentals. So that's great.
And you also have Habitat for Humanity is building 2 homes.
Yeah.
And I believe, was there one other builder was building else?
Lori Weber, she built
Yeah.
the one, isn't constructing one at this time until that one sells.
And then you have the old Presbyterian church, which is being converted into apartments. So there's definitely a significant uptick in housing development in Hartford. And it's needed. I constantly see people looking for places to buy, to rent. And so I'm hopeful that we'll continue this trend.
I'm glad to see diversity in the type of housing too, from apartments to duplexes to single-family homes, just because, I mean, the diversity of homes is going to help us just as much as having homes, because, not everybody can dive into a McMansion, because I know those make a lot of money. It doesn't necessarily mean
Well,
we're gonna get a lot of
there's,
people there.
if you think about housing and, city services, truth of the matter, I think in general, suburbia, most people prefer them to be single-family homes, because it raises the EAV of the community. Problem is that because of the density is much less in the single-family homes, you've got less people paying to maintain the infrastructure, roads, streets, sewer, water, and so the higher density you have, the less costly it is for the community. So it's a give and take. I think, strictly trying to do one type of housing is probably detrimental in the end. I think it needs to be a mixture. Not everybody can own a home. We certainly want to encourage home ownership where we can, but certainly understand that there's a large swath of our society that don't even want to own a home. They don't want to be saddled with the maintenance of a home. They would much rather rent a home and put that on to their landlord. So I think in our community, we need both kinds of housing. We need owner occupied housing as well as rental housing.
The city did recently win a grant through the Mayor's Metropolitan Caucus to do a study on Harvard and several other communities for what's called missing middle housing, for all those things that the mayor just talked about. And we had to provide them with several vacant sites or potential building sites. They're working with a company called Optico, I believe the name is. Well, they will help develop a site plan for consideration that we can then bring to a developer or the property owner and say, here's something that the city is in favor of on your property. We'd like to help develop it, whether it's bringing a developer or that person is a developer. But they're going to help us understand our missing middle housing and what our needs are so that we can attract those developers to fulfill that need.
I'm excited. I think, the city staff, well, the mayor too, but you guys have done a great job of advertising our community, making it attractive to bringing in developers. And I think that diverse building is helping us, and it's going to attract more. So, because like I said, it's real easy for one type of developer to come in and just build, and then you end up with really a difficult situation because you're only marketing to one area of the economy, as opposed to we have a diverse income economy here, and we want to make that grow and keep it diverse. So,
And I will say, as far as marketing our challenge coins that we have, like no other, everybody has truly enjoyed getting one. In fact, Representative Sosnowski's people said that the representative was a little jealous at the quality of our coin and wanted to actually redesign his. So people really enjoy it, and I think staff and I like sitting back and until people flip it over and see the like no other. Yep. See?
Don, what's the status on the two lots that we're looking at adding into Shadow Creek where that park is?
We just signed an agreement with the surveyor to create the re-subdivision, plat of re-subdivision, essentially, plat of subdivision.
We found a cheaper surveyor,
Okay.
so we can get that done.
You think, when do you think we can have those lots for sale?
I think it would, well, we go through this process, it goes to, I don't think it has to go to Planning and Zoning Commission, I think it just goes to council for final approval. So I can talk to him and see how long it'll take to get to that point, but before the end of the year, for sure.
And keep in mind, this committee and the council has already approved surplus and sale of it. So once we get the parcels done, we can go ahead and start putting it up for sale.
We got two quotes to do it. I think they were around between $7,000 and $8,000, and the boss asked me to reach out to one more person, and that came in just over $3,000. So
Okay. Well, as long as we get our money back and we can sell the lots and get someone to build on it and get property taxes on it, that's what matters. We're not what are we doing with the land down to that lake? I know in the parks, we were talking about having the property owners take ownership of that. But I don't know if we ever moved forward with that, I don't know, whatever.
Because of what happened in Park Point.
Okay.
And we can't just force them to take the land.
Right.
And so on that part, and in talking with our Public Works Department, it made more sense just to hold on to it for access.
And we have, when we built those two lots, we framed those two lots, there's actually access back to the pond, right? If someone still wants to go back there, was it like a 20-foot swath or whatever?
Yeah, there's actually a pipe that runs through there.
Yeah, that's right.
So-
That's right.
I
And so we couldn't sell that because
Right.
you can't build over that. Yeah.
don't recall what the distance is that I asked to maintain there. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
But it'll have to be enough to get equipment through there,
Right.
a maintenance easement.
Okay, thank you.
So the only other thing for new business that I have is this is the mayor, one of the mayor's goals that's slowly but surely being achieved. Last year it started with me completing the LGMC or Leadership Greater McHenry County program in 2024. Donovan at a previous place completed the program, and here in 9 days starts her journey through that process. So you're looking at in a year from now 3 alumni.
Wonderful. Pretty soon you guys will be right up there with the education achievements of the police department. Nearly there.
For those that don't know, the Leadership Greater McHenry County is a organization that basically helps create a stronger community within McHenry County. It connects those attendees that are part of that course. They get to understand business, government, all different forms of government from a wide county perspective. Laws and just all kinds of things that allows them to be connected better within the community. One of the things that I felt strongly about for the city of Harvard was because we had staffing who had been well established within their roles for many, many years. They had established a network within the county and knew everybody that there was to know, essentially, because they'd been here so long. Well, as we've now turned over our staffing, I felt it very important that we get these people connected to that network to ensure that, we're being good stewards within McHenry County and cooperative with other units of government, and as well as being very well versed within the business community of McHenry County. So I think having alumni on our team is going to make us a stronger staff in terms of when we need to reach out and work with other municipalities.
Thought Ann was going to say something else, but
Forward to it.
there we go.
We'll keep track of it and can't wait to be able to congratulate you when it's all done.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
You got a
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Good meeting, everybody.
All right, thank you.